Hey, it's Mike Corso from Rubio, and we've got another digital marketing webinar going on right now with one of my favorite people, my head of digital paid advertising, Mike Vossen. Mike, welcome to the webinar today.
Thanks for the time, Mike. Appreciate it, everyone.
And before I introduce anything more about you, let me just talk about what we're covering today. It is dynamic Facebook auto ads. We are going to explain what they are, how they work, what the key metrics are that we're looking at, what's included when you work with us, and how much do they cost. Mike, does that sound like a good series of topics to cover here?
Yeah, I think that'll give us the broad strokes. But of course, everyone, if you have any questions following this, Mike Corso and myself, more than happy to chat.
Yep, there'll be contact info at the end, as well as a very special offer. So stick through. We're only going to talk for about 20 minutes or so. We'll take a couple of questions, but then we'll post this replay. We're recording this now, so we'll post the replay probably by Friday. So anyway, Mike, we were talking the other day about dynamic ads for the automotive industry, and we have such success with this with dealerships across the country, across North America. And I always feel like this is a hidden gem. Like it's almost like, why isn't everyone doing this? So why don't we just start right there? Like, how did this evolve? Like, why did we get into this? Why is it better? And, are there competitors to what we're doing?
Great question. So we know that car dealers notoriously are, I would say, prolific advertisers, right? Very interested in trying the next newest thing. We know that the user or the typical car intending audience, their buying journey or the buying cycle, the way they make purchase decisions has changed dramatically over not little alone, say the last 10 years, certainly in the last year, right? Pandemic has caused a massive surge towards, or a pivot rather, on the way people buy, the way people make purchase decisions, the way they research products and services prior to acquiring them. And out of that need, a lot of these tools arose. Now, make no mistake, Facebook dynamic auto ads, as we're going to unpack today, is by no means a new concept. We're simply, I would say, we're simply making improvements to the way that the ads are built, delivered, and tracked. Because in reality, a lot of these decisions people are going to make, 90% of the steps they'll take before entering the dealership is done online. So what we want to do is we want to find out where are your dollars best spent? Where, if I push this lever, what is, say, the action or the return? And simply put, we have a lot more tech and tools to be able to make those decisions.
Yeah. And talking about how people's purchasing decisions have changed, I was listening to an automotive podcast last week, and they mentioned that prior to the pandemic, there was a small percentage of people who were actually going through the entire car buying journey, car buying purchase online. And since the pandemic, that number has increased by about 80%. So, we're almost seeing a doubling of the number of people who are actually buying cars online now, which I find fascinating.
Exactly. Yeah, there's been a ton of trends to unpack, and certainly there'll be more time down the road to see what the long-term impact of, I would say, today's age really has on the car industry. But suffice it to say, you're always best suited having expert insight, having all of the, I would say, tools, and being able to actually glean information off who is your audience, how do they find you, and what do they want, and where do they purchase?
Yep. So these are some of the things we like about Facebook dynamic ads for the automotive industry. Custom creative, custom audience every time. I think I stole that quote from you, Mike.
More than happy to. Hey, you can use it anytime. If you'll back up one step, Mike, if you don't mind, I just want to quickly unpack what Mike means by custom creative, custom audiences every time. Typically, this was a human effort where our, say, graphic design team would have to build the actual ad itself. Facebook dynamic auto ads, which we'll unpack even a little further down the road, allows that process to be totally automated, meaning that each ad that you're seeing is going to be specific to the make and model, VIN specific, I might even go as far as saying, and created in real time, meaning the milliseconds a web page is loading, that ad set that a user sees is going to be completely distinctive and customized to their, I would say, vehicle browsing history.
Yeah.
Apologies, Mike. Carry on.
Yeah, no, and great. Let's clarify right off the top that this does not require a lot of technical know-how on the dealership's end. Not a lot of coding required. Tell them how easy that is.
Yeah, what we found was integrating with dealers things like their CDN systems or inventory management systems, just a big headache, big hassle. You know, a lot of API stuff, a lot of technical backend. Where we are today allows us to place a code on the dealer's website, and that code will do about 95% of the heavy lifting, scraping inventory every day, looking at the MSRP, the main image, being able to track all the links on the VDP or vehicle detail page. That's all done from placing one code on the client's website. Very few things these days are set and forget, but with Facebook Dynamic Auto Ads, assuming that code's on the website, the vast majority of that customized work will continue every second of every day. So quite easy.
And that's why we say saves thousands of hours of editing ads. So if you have a large inventory.
Yeah, I got a decade selling auto, and let me tell you, if I had this 9 years ago, I would have saved a lot of stress, I would say.
Right, it's pretty much set and forget. Also, the beauty of this in the reporting, will show a quick screen in a bit, but just the ability to track closing rates from multiple entry points, and we're going to show that through the reporting that's generated. So let's get into a little bit more about the actual specifics of this without getting too much in the weeds. Why don't you give us that high level view?
Sure thing. So the way that this code works, again, we mentioned earlier, but a small line of code gets placed on the auto dealer's website. That line of code every day is going to scrape or pull all active inventory that's on that web page, right? So you have your new cars, you have your used cars, you have lists of make, model, all the details. What we'll call the VDP page, vehicle detail page, is the specific page for that make and model, and it has multiple points of what we would consider conversion. So in this case, what this tool is doing is it's looking at who's been on your site, Mr. Car or Mr. Miss Car Dealer. What do they look like? What specific makes and models have they gone to? How frequently or recently have they done that action, right? What we know is that, say, if the average vehicle sale last year in the States, about 33,000 is the average MSRP, and I know that this user's looked at 6, say, Ford F-150s, what we'll also do is track on those Ford F-150 pages, how many test drives were booked, how many inbound calls were received, how many users submitted a financing form, trade-in requests, downloaded spec sheets. In some cases, you can go as far as to see how many people physically visited your dealership following that ad. And the valuable thing about this is every ad that we design is pulled directly from the client, from the auto dealer's website, that day. So the creative is, you can see in the image, that's pulled directly from the dealer site, meaning we don't have to worry about graphic design, turnaround time, delays. And that vehicle inventory, which is not only stock specific, we pull stock numbers from this tool. Don't ask me how, because it sounds pretty intense. And it'll even pull VIN specific numbers. And we'll touch on that with reporting, but basically extremely granular audience targeting and extremely precise, specific creative.
Yeah, great. So yeah, let's just talk about the difference, in case people are just jumping in here. We know about a static ad. That's an ad that doesn't change. We post that, and then you have these dynamic ads, which are changing in real time, again, based on that simple line of code, that snippet of code that we put on the dealer's website. So there are a couple of metrics here I know you love to talk about. I know there's one you don't like or have a little question about, but let's hit this in terms
of...
sharp.
Yeah, no doubt. Good head on your shoulders on that one. Mike points out, viewed VDP, 100%. Trust me, everyone who's watching this in the advertising world, nothing is 100%. You can never be assured of anything. There's no promises or guarantees, make no mistake. With this product, there are some very valuable, I would say, selling points we'll touch on. But of course, if I'm seeing this dynamic ad, I have to have viewed that vehicle before, right? I'm not going to see a Ford F-150 if I'm looking into sedans. So that's a little misleading, but the rest of these metrics is bang on. On
Right.
average, you see time on page triple, if not quadruple, and generally speaking, your bounce rate, or the rate in which users enter your site and immediately leave, telling me that it's not a good traffic, your bounce rate almost always is effectively halved.
Right. So yeah, let's just it's worth talking about this just a little bit more. You know, a person might spend half a minute on a static ad like this, but if they come over from one of these more personalized, customized ads, again, because they've seen the product on your website before and they're actually searching for that kind of vehicle, they're going to stick around. So, you know, as Mike said, 3-4 times the length of time we're going to see people spending on the website. And that bounce rate is so important. You know, Google does not like to see people just coming to a site, jumping, and then you know, moving on to another site. So if we can keep them around, you know, twice as long on that web page, that works in everyone's favor. So that's
Exactly.
those are some stats we love to talk about. Mike, as far as dynamic ads working in conjunction with other campaigns that a dealership is running, whether it's, you know, a display ad, which is where you have banners on third-party sites, or just, you know, pay-per-click search ads in Google or Facebook even. Tell us, does this work well? Do we want this to be exclusive, or can we work well with other campaigns?
Yeah, great question. So I would say with this, it works extremely well with display and search. I would normally strongly, I would say, advise to run Facebook dynamic auto ads as your purely remarketing or retargeting play. Because while I can generally target it at auto intenders, so people who have never been to your site, I can serve them those dynamic ads. The downside is you're not really using it for its strength, which is custom creative, custom audiences every time, right? You know,
Right.
I don't want to serve you a general ad with that, because really that the strength is in remarketing to users who have been on your site and looked at specific vehicles. So short answer, yes, this does very well with display and search, typically running display to drive in cold, or I would say users in market, but at the preliminary steps, right? You know, days to buy has shifted since the pandemic. I believe we've went from about 111 days on average in market, 118, excuse me, to about 89 days is the typical buying cycle for someone in market. So
Hmm.
if you hit those users with a display ads that are on websites, you're basically getting their interest. Once they hit the website, Facebook Dynamic Auto Ads collects them and looks at what they are looking at to remarket. And then finally, if you really want to kind of shore up your bets, a search ad on users searching online, comparing prices, because that's definitely gone up. Users shopping around has seen a drastic rise since the pandemic. Having search ads running as well, make sure that you're plugging all the holes in the bottom of your funnel.
Yeah. So just to repeat, those display ads, traditional ads, you can be driving people over. And then when we talk about remarketing, which is what our dynamic ads are all about, remarketing is specifically refers to finding those people where they are and serving up an ad related to what they have seen or what website they were on. So, you know, often people say, oh, I was on Amazon and I searched the other day for baseball mitts, and now all of a sudden I see baseball mitt ads all over. Well, that's remarketing. You know, people are seeing things based on what their previous search was. So if we have these banner ad campaigns going on, and people come over that way, we're then going to find where they are on other third-party websites and serve ads related to a Honda or a Tesla or whatever it is anyone is searching for.
Exactly. On average, the typical car buyer in the US will look at 4.2 websites prior to making a purchase. So 4.2 exact dealer sites. And based on what we know about the market, overwhelmingly 81 to 84%, depends where you get your numbers, are visiting a hard minimum 2 automotive websites prior to making a purchase. So it's not enough to simply have really good retention of who comes to you. You need to prospect out to what other clients are looking at my competitors.
Yeah. And then getting into, starting to talk about some of the reporting. I like the fact that we can show inventory in terms of, current, pending, and moved inventory. We can actually show these numbers. You want to speak to what we have here?
Yeah, certainly. So 3 statuses on the report. The reporting with this product is, I would say, extremely granular in the sense that it pulls, again, all of this from a code. I don't need to call the auto dealer. I don't need to integrate with any of their back-end inventory systems. Hours of work historically, now shaved down to an automatic process. The cookie or the tool, the tracking code that we place, looks at 3 different statuses: current, pending, and moved. So if the vehicle is found on the site on Monday, it's found on the site on Tuesday, that's a current vehicle, right? Still on the website, still sellable. If I have the vehicle on the site Monday, don't see it on the site on Tuesday, it gets moved into a category in the real-time reporting called pending. So we don't know if it's sold or not, but it's not on the website anymore, so further investigation needed. If after 3 days it's not found on the website, it's going to be classified as a moved category, and we can track, again, all the interaction, whether the users are unique users, so unique devices, on with that exact vehicle.
And that's why you're not going to be serving ads that are irrelevant or out of date, because anything that is in that moved category is not going to be shown.
Precisely. Technically, even the ads in the pending category, if you're in pending, that specific make and model vehicle won't be delivered in the ads that are run. It'll be basically paused until we are sure it's either current and sellable or it's off the lot and no longer relevant. Why waste ad dollars?
Right. We're coming to the end of our little discussion. So if any dealerships are wondering if they work with Rubio, what do they get? Well, they get a team of experts such as myself and Mike Vossen. We set up the campaign from top to bottom. We manage the bids and budget closely. We come up with a strategy for the dealership for that particular store. We integrate with Google Analytics. And of course, we generate some pretty nifty monthly reports, which we can take a look at. But before we do, we have this cute little acronym called SMART, which is all about measuring our ad campaigns. We talk about being very specific in terms of what we want to accomplish, measuring results, making sure that our goals are achievable, that they're realistic, making sure that they're relevant to what we're trying to accomplish for the business, for the dealership. And then, of course, working within a time frame that makes sense as well.
Exactly. It's not enough to have a good-looking report, right? We need to be able to pull, we need it to be accurate and measurable, like we had chatted about, as well insights. So, not only am I making car sales or vehicle sales, but I'm learning more about how to market myself smarter, not only online, but everywhere.
So this is a reporting example. This is what a dealership would expect to see. We talked about, every, it's VIN specific, every car that's on the lot, whether they have 10 or 1,000, they're going to see a status of what's current, what they're trying to sell, again, what's moved off the lot, how many click-throughs in each category, unique click-throughs. Anything else we want to highlight here, Mike?
Yeah, like I really want to focus in on the fact that these reports are VIN specific, right? So being able to pull trend analysis, being able to pull stock numbers, things that were typically a very manual, heavy, I would say, process, chewed up tons of time, now totally automated. So the ease and simplicity of using the tool allows a lot more auto dealers, not only the large rooftops, but also the small independent and used dealers, to get value out of this tool without having a dedicated IT person or without having to chat with me for 2 hours on integration. Notice that below, all old inventory is seeing a lot better traction, not only in just uniques, but in total click-throughs, right? Being able to take that insight and then say, how can I then market the rest of my inventory that much smarter with the data and the knowledge I have? So really can't stress it enough. I would say this is the juicy, I would say, tidbits of the reports, and that's the stuff we love.
And Mike, some dealers may be wondering, okay, this is great, but conditions change in the market, in technology. Are the developers updating this tool? Can they be sure that they're going to have, state of the art advertising management and reporting?
Yeah, great question. And that is a valid question to ask any of your advertisers, whether that's my Corso myself or a vendor you're using, or any contractor. You should make sure that the services you're paying for are being accurately updated. They're future proof, as we would call them, and that they are diligently managed. And in this case, yes. So this is a pretty heavy, I would say, cost for us to make sure that it's totally up to date with new privacy requirements, new browser restrictions, things like that, totally compliant to all local laws, as well as, I would say, privacy, legislation. So yes, short answer.
Good, 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 good. All right, so that's, we've got a special discount. I'm going to show our pricing for this service, but our special discount for anyone who's watching this webinar is $250 off the first month of service. Let me just see, there we go. So we have 3 levels. We have a starter, premier, and pro. And the starter package is $1,500 a month, going up to $3,000 and $4,500 a month. And this is all based on what we're delivering in terms of traffic, in terms of clicks. So on the low end in this starter package, we're guaranteeing 554 clicks up to 769. Mike, you want to comment about the confidence we have?
Yeah, I do actually. I'd like to highlight a term that I'm going to struggle to even say it, because it's fundamentally, I would say, an advertisement. No G's, no P's, no guarantees, no promises, right? But in this case, watch me struggle to get this out. We are guaranteeing or promising our partners, as well as the auto dealers, if you're spending $1,500, we're generating at a bare minimum 554 unique inbound local auto purchase intenders. And if we don't generate that, it's Mike, Mr. Corso, and myself. We're going to be paying out of pocket to get you there. That CPC at the bottom, average CPC for auto intenders, that sells itself, right? You're telling the car dealer, this is a I struggle to say it. This is I would say I want to say sure thing, but I would say you're guaranteeing inbound traffic for a set, I would say, price that's lower than industry standard. So right. I would say that there's no downside to running this. Me and Mike might have to go to pocket if we don't deliver, though.
Well, we know historically that hasn't been the case.
Hasn't happened yet.
We haven't had to go out of pocket, but CPC, cost per click. So that's just the price that we're paying. And if you know other industries, I mean, you could be paying anywhere from 50 cents to $500 for a click based on the industry you're in. In the automotive industry, you'll generally find higher CPCs than that, but this is the number that we are guaranteeing for each of these levels. So if you wanted more activity, more action, say 1,100 to 1,500 clicks, you're going to be paying $3,000 a month. And of course, if you have multiple locations, you may want to go with our pro level. That's the simple pricing snapshot in a nutshell there. I mean, it's not complicated. Any questions, of course, you can call me. My phone number is here, 914-907-9733. You can send me an email, mike@ruv.io, or you can come to our website, fill out a form, book some time on my calendar. Happy to set up a free consultation, do a free audit of your digital marketing strategy, and see where we can help otherwise. We don't just do paid advertising at Rubio. We do website development. We do SEO. We do email marketing. We do listings optimization, reputation management, social media posting, B2B lead generation on LinkedIn, maybe not as applicable to automotive dealerships, but if you have a B2B business and you're looking to sell to other businesses, we provide that as well. Mike, thanks a ton for your time.
Oh, happy to be here.
I think people understand they're in good hands when they hear you speak. And this is the guy, Mike Vossen. He will be the man to make sure that we deliver.
Mike, thank you for allowing me to speak, and as well, appreciate all the attendees joining today.
Likewise. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for attending and watching. And again, reach out if you have any questions or you want to take advantage of that special offer. Thanks again, Mike.
Well, my pleasure. Take care.